So happy Monday. Come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. It is everyone's favorite day of the week, and I have this fantastic bottle of Domaine Edmond de Rothschild et Le Pain, and this is a Grand Vin de Bordeaux, a 2022 Bordeaux that Chauncey just picked up for me, placed in the chiller ever so nicely. Kind of excited about that. Anything Rothschild, as we may anglicize it, is always just exactly what I'm experiencing right now in the nose. Just a beautiful, playful bowl of berries. Absolutely gorgeous, sweet, fresh. Kind of mimicking the bittersweet freshness of the rainy, cooler weather outside, signifying the end of summer. But what a beautiful, delightful wine. And beautiful and delightful was just on the nose. This is an absolute, veritable orchestra of happy music on the palate. This is fantastic. I would say ever so very slightly tannic, and a wonderful cheese hors d'oeuvres wine. Oh, I can see this being wonderful with chicken and pork. I see it being wonderful with macaroni and cheese if you wanted it to be. I would just stay away from breakfast cereals and this particular wine, unless that's, of course, your thing, which is totally cool by me. Like Martha Stewart once said, if you want ice in your shard, ice your shard, right? So, ice your Chardonnay all you want to, right? Do what you want to do. Yep, that bottle's not going to make it through the evening. And as it is what it is. We will open up our grid here. But first we'll go over the dictionary.com word of the day, which is ilk. A noun, right? And we're talking about family, class, or kind. And in my case, whenever I was being reprimanded as a child, and even well into my adulthood, especially as an Army officer, combest you and your ilk. If I only had a nickel for every time I've heard that, I'd have a lot of nickels. So it is what it is. Let's see. So we have a Brian Callahan construction today for Monday, July 28th. I mean, it is crazy to me. And we're already at the end of July. Is the year just been so awful that it's just going by very quickly? Or is it that life is just better these days because I can afford, say, something more than ramen? You know, like in college, it just drug on and on and on. When you have a hard time figuring out how you're going to eat or pay your rent, life just drags. It just goes so slow, like inchworm, right? You know? And as soon as you're moderately comfortable, you look up one day, and I'm assuming you just look up, like, and I'm 97 years old, I guess it's over. You know, like, wow, where does it go? I have no idea. Let's hop into our grid and see what we got. All right, so Catfish Channel. I think we're talking about MTV. Okay, so far we got good Monday fare. Centers stat in an NBA game, probably on rebound, I don't know. Cover again, as with paint, probably to recoat. So check this here. Calculate something incorrectly. Say, how about to air? Air. Is there something wrong with my E key, I'm wondering? Contract from a publisher, sitting and looking at 8 empty squares. That tells me maybe book deal. No. I just finished constructing and cluing a grid today. I'm going to have to reach out to you, Sue Shoemaker, to see if you want to edit. Kind of go through and tell me if I'm okay on it. If so, we'll get you in the constructor notes, right? It'd be fantastic. Cry of discovery could be aha. That would be kind of nice. Ceremonial rod. Mace? I don't know. Corn to a Midwest farmer. What do you think? You seen cash crop in there? It could certainly be. I'm thinking it's probably a mace, which is what our ceremonial rod is. Contractor's detail in brief could be a spec. Okay, so let's see. Children's song refrain. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Cartoon sound from an intoxicated person, I guess, like that. Maybe that's the sound we're shooting for. Casino no. How about card counting? And only driving on Tuesdays or something like that. Don't do that. Don't go. Don't do it. Canon camera brand named for a goddess, and I'm assuming we're shooting for Eos here. Constellation part, let's just go with a star. It's the easiest for now. We're just going to take the old Occam's razor approach. Cousin of a crawler or bear claw, how about a donut? Characteristic of penetrating mind. Ah, keen indeed. Canada's capital, maybe Ottawa. Now let's see. Command to a dog. I'm gonna sit. Combustible fuel for trucks. I'm a diesel. Tell you what, that's some nasty stuff, but some of our favorite cars have been diesels. Yes, we just do. Cold blank cabbage dishes. Okay, we're going with the slaws on that one. So chili or chill is an example for relax, maybe slang. Call us the champs. Okay, we won, we win. I don't know. Completely the same for me. As am I. Could you please stop talking about that? I don't know what that is. Count me as a yes. Maybe I'm in. So we win, as am I, and maybe let it rest. Okay, why not? Yeah, California Wine Valley, none other than the great Napa Valley. Climaxes, perhaps peaks. Copious amount, I don't know. Muscad? Seas? I don't know. Compassionate, how about kind? And China's continent would be Asia, so contribute would be to add maybe. And comedian Faye, how about Tina? And copious amount, I think we do. I think we got a sort of scad here. And carbonated beverage as reintroduced in 1985. And I do believe this was Coca-Cola Classic. I was in, I think, 6th grade, something like that. I was maybe 7th, 85. Notorious, The Reflex. Yeah, Duran Duran, The Cure. I'm trying to remember which albums I got that year. I think I was in 7th grade. Coca-Cola Classic. Capital of Peru could be Lima. But be careful, because, you know, I mean, what if it's a peso that they're looking for? So, chi, procedure, I do believe we're talking about phi. Concoctions with masa, cheese, lettuce, and salsa. Masa, cheese, lettuce, and salsa. What do you think? We got a chalupa here. All right, let's check it out. And Charlotte Bronte to Anne and Emily informally. I mean, I don't know, a sis or a sib. What do we got here? Calls that may start. Is your refrigerator running? Well, then you better go catch it. And so, yeah, I think these would be pranks. We got sis on there. Cooper and Peyton Manning's QB brother. How about Eli Manning? Crossing guards command. Command? And maybe like more of a suggestion? Can you really command somebody to walk? Walk? I mean, no. You can cross the street now, or you can wait here for the next time I go across with the little red sign in my hand. What is a command? Really? I don't know. I'm not buying it. Maybe I'm taking my military service to a whole new links. To me, command is completely different, you know, but whatever. How about Chicken Chow, Maine? And city of Honolulu's island, that would be Oahu. Like I think I said yesterday, I spent 2 weeks there when I was like 11, and I haven't been back since. I wouldn't be opposed to going back. I just remember it rained like every 5 minutes. Otherwise, it was literally paradise. So, crime lab material, going to shoot for DNA to start. Croquet. Okay, locale. How about a yard? You can check it. This isn't your typical Monday fare either, right? You know, this is a little bit, this is slightly, it more feels like a Tuesday, Wednesday kind of a thing in spots here. Not all the way around, but just in some. Comical sorts can be a riot. And college basketball phenom drafted by the Indiana Fever. And that's, what's her name? Clark. I cannot remember her name, but no, she is a phenom. Christmas stocking filler for a naughty child. Well, I never got any lumps of coal. I probably deserved it. Certain bout enders in brief could be KOs. If you're used to putting in a TKO for a bout ender or something like that, just be careful. You know, look at the plural and all that stuff. Caitlin Clark. I think it's Caitlin. I'm going to go ahead and guess that. If I'm wrong, boy, I will hide my face and weep in shame. Cringe out of fear could be to cower. Crowd sounds, well, the crowds are sometimes a roar, depending on who's speaking. Coneheads, as an example, for short. And these are well before my time. I mean, if you want to say that it was during my time at the age of 3, really. I think they were extraterrestrials. Cell phones, weather app as an example, and I guess we're shooting for a widget here. I don't know that I ever considered that being a widget, but I suppose it is. Crested wading birds. How about egrets? Compadre, amigo. And right behind me, right now, over my shoulder, is my amigalita. Or in French, mon petit chou. In German, meine Schatzi. Chain of luxury hotels. How about the Omni? The Omni will make that work. And what do we got here? So calm down there, buddy. Something. Hey, a tiger. Childish retort. Okay. Cusco dweller of old would be an Inca. I gotta tell you, the Cusco, Cusco, was a great new age band in the 1990s, and I still love all of their music. I mean, I would just let that whole CD go and go and go for hours. In fact, it dominates part of my playlist these days. Chapel Oath, I do. And Christian of fashion, Christian Dior. Childish retort could be arso. So easy, tiger. Okay. In Cloud 9, a blissful spot in an idiom. Let's see what we got. So Christmas comes but once a year. Certain toe job. Informally, how about a repo? Those are never any fun to even see or hear about. Casual top being a T. Course standard on the links would be par. Cardi B genre, I think we're there, unless of course I fat fingered something somewhere, and that is altogether possible today, especially. Central artery, how about an aorta? And then cinder covered could be ashy. And clear sailing areas are homophonically a feature of 16, 23, 39, and 52 across, and every clue in this puzzle. Okay, open seas. Okay, yeah, sure. Completely stretched. How about taut? Complete dump. Sty. Can't believe I missed something so obvious. Duh. Cincinnati baseball team, the Reds, and I don't know. How do we do Bob? Well, you know, that's just great. I don't know why I just did that. So looking at this, we had open seas here. So homophonically, so cash crop, card counting, Coca-Cola Classic, Caitlin Clark. Oh, it's very alliterative. Perhaps consonant, but he says, and every clue in this puzzle. Yeah. Okay. This just doesn't feel like a Monday to me. It felt like more of a Tuesday. It was certainly there. The chief Hindu god, Indra, I think that's fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, we were talking about this just yesterday too, learning the principal deities of Hinduism. And I think there's like 8 of them, 6, 7, or 8, something like that. But when you learn what they do, it's really interesting. So the chief Hindu god, Indra, is actually I think he's a god of war and a weather god. So maybe you studied meteorology before going into officer candidate school and learning how to be a combat officer. Not sure. It's not in there for me to learn, but I'm telling you right now, it's really interesting when you learn how various gods throughout the millennia, came into being, and what their specialties were, and so on, and how it's never something like we would consider now. I mean, they're not going to be whatever this, that, or the other that would apply to us. It was something that really applied to back then. Like the weather was kind of an important part of harvest and farming, and I don't know. Domesticating animals and so on and so forth, right? So it's really interesting to see that evolution as it goes. But what a fantastic grid today. Brian Callahan, you really knocked this Monday out of the park. I'm talking smack about, commands like to walk versus a suggestion, but that's just me, and it's a Monday, and I haven't had enough wine yet. And I'm also facing the Guardian Cryptic, which is coming on now. But until we see you next time, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Servus. Grüß Gott. Ciao. Cin-Cin. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subscriptions. It's free. And we're always hanging out at about 50-50 versus those who come back versus those who come back and are subscribed. And so if you want to put a ring on this finger, I've got plenty of them with no rings on them. We can do that. We can make a commitment of sorts. Until we see you on the morrow, just be nice to strangers, and please be safe. Arrive alive, and we'll see you then. Cheers.